Hey guys, Eric here with Painting Business Pro, and in this video I want to talk to you about how to beat low bidders. This is a complaint that I see all the time. I see it when I talk to people who use lead services, like maybe you're working with HomeAdvisor or Painter Choice or Thumbtack or CraftJack or Networks or Porch or any of the million lead services out there. And they say, oh, that's crap. It's just a race to the bottom. It's just about being the lowest bidder. It's just about being the lowest price. And I just totally 100% disagree with that. Yes, there are low bidders. And yes, you'll lose some bids to low bidders, but no, that should not have any real impact on the success of your business, because your sales process should be good enough that you win a lot of jobs even when there's a lower bidder, because people don't buy based exclusively on price. There's way more factors than just price. And so in this video, I want to talk to you just to give you a little bit of perspective about how do you beat low bidders in the sales process, because it's really not that big a deal, but I see people making this a big deal all over the place. So I think the first thing just to note is that if you're building a successful business, you don't need to book every job. You don't even need to book a crazy high percentage of jobs. You know, we've built a $5 million company with a 30 to 35% sales rate. That means out of 10 estimates, we're booking 3 or 4 jobs. That means we're not booking a lot more jobs than we are booking. And so the first thing to note is that you don't need to book every job, so don't get too wrapped up in every little job. Look at the big picture, look at your numbers, and if you have a great sales process and you follow the training and coaching we provide, you will have a good enough sales rate to build a very scalable business, and you don't need to book every job. So the first thing is, if you lose some jobs to low bidders, that's fine. The only thing is, and we'll probably we talk in our sales coaching program about how do you diagnose what your sales problem is. And it's very unlikely that your main objection is we went with a lower price. Now, if that is your main objection, where you continuously have customers say, we went with someone else because they were cheaper, we went with someone else because they were cheaper, we went with someone else because they were cheaper. It's not because they were cheaper. It's because in the customer's point of view, the service you were providing and the service they are providing seemed to be the same, and the price was cheaper. Now, if their price was cheaper, but you did a way better job and they thought you were going to do a much better job, then it's not that your price is too high, it's that you're actually offering a Lexus and someone else is offering a Honda. All right? You don't go into the Lexus dealership and be like, I don't know, your guys' car is priced too much. There's a Honda down the street that's way less money. It's like, yeah, no shit. It's a Honda, not a Lexus. All right? So it's what are you selling? If the guy who's the low bidder is selling a Honda and then you show up and sell a Honda, but you have a higher price tag on it, then yeah, your price is high. But that's where the sales process comes in. That's where the professionalism comes in. Because I never see someone offering a Lexus for a Honda price. The people who have a Lexus sales process, a stellar sales process, are pricing their stuff appropriately. They're not going to undercut their own bid and go really low. So good people in professional companies and legitimate sales processes are going to offer a higher price, and the guy who just shows up and writes a number on the back of a business card is going to be your lower price. All right, so that's the first thing just to point out, is you don't need to book every job, and rarely is your main objection about someone else's lower price. And if that does keep happening to you, it's because you're not doing a good job showing value. All right, so now let's look at just a few different topics around how to beat low bidders. So the first thing, which I've kind of mentioned here, is the quality of your sales process. If your sales process and the estimate you provide is equal to Joe Schmo, and Joe Schmo says 2,000 and you say 3,000, they're going to go with Joe Schmo. But I'll tell you this for sure, is the guy who's doing the low bidders, they're not doing a superb estimate process. I promise you, they're not. They're competing on price. But I'm not playing the game on competing on price. I'm competing on value, customer service, customer care, professionalism, integrity, communication. That's what I'm competing on. And to do all of that, I can't be the low bidder. And customers know that. All right, so the first thing is the quality of the sales process really matters, because when your sales process is a higher quality than the low bidder, it's not apples to apples. They know that they're not getting the same job from him and from you. They know that. And so then it's not about price anymore. The next thing is, which I've already mentioned, you don't need to book every job. So stop worrying about it if you get beat by a low bidder. That happens all the time, and that's okay. There's a lot of times where we go into an estimate and there's a really low bidder and we lose the job. There's other times where we go into an estimate and there's a really low bidder and we win the job. We win some, we lose some. Sometimes you'll be the lower price and customers will go with a higher price than you. That happens too, but I don't hear anybody freaking out that they're losing jobs to higher prices. So why are you freaking out because you're losing jobs to lower prices? Stop worrying about it. You're not going to win every job, and that's okay. Next is trust trumps price every single time. Trust is more important than price. Now, here's why. And I'm just going to put you in the mind of a customer. So in a customer's mind, they get 3 quotes. They've got a quote for $2,000, $3,000, and $4,000. That is confusing as shit to a customer. They're like, wait, one's 2, one's 3, one's 4, and they're all kind of like, they're similar. There's a little different one with this one. This one's using a different paint. So like, it's not, that is a stressful situation because they don't know which price is the right price. There's one that's low, there's one that's high, and that's why a lot of people end up going with the middle. Is not because they want to go with the middle, it's because they have no clue, so they feel like the safest option is to go with the middle one. They don't want to go with the low one, that guy might be too cheap. They don't want to go with the high one, they might be overpriced. I think if we'll go with the middle one, it's the least risky thing to do. Now, when a customer gets these different prices, they don't know which one is the right price. So how they will determine which price is the right price is which person they trust the most. So if there's 3 prices and 3 people that they got an estimate from, but there's one guy that they really trust the most, they also will trust his price the most. And they will be happy to pay that price because they feel like that is the right price, because that's the guy they trust the most, and so they'll go with him. So I've got a quick famous story that we tell at our company, which kind of ties into this next thing, which is it's not apples to apples. So most of the time, estimates are not apples to apples, right? So even though there's a lower bidder, there's other things too, like there's trust, there's detail, right? Like how detailed your estimate was. There's the length of time, how long you spent with them. There's rapport. How much do you like each other? There's online reviews, right? So there's all these different factors. There's more we could write down. But there's all these different factors that a customer is considering when they're making a buying decision. And then there's price, of course, is on there too. Now, if, the low bidder, right? We'll put LB, low bidder right here, and then you. Now, if you guys build the exact same level of trust, the exact same level of detail, the exact same amount of time, the same rapport, the same reviews online, but he's a lower price than you, absolutely they're going to go with that person. But price is far from the only factor. There's other factors like how detailed. If you're more detailed, so you win this one. Be more detailed. Build more trust. Spend more time with them. Build more rapport with them. Have better reviews online. Have better referrals. Have better literature and a client book and better references. You do all those things, but then your price is higher. They're not just going to go with the low price because there's a lot of other things that justify a higher price. Some customers will just be like, I don't have the money, I'm going with the low price. And that's a risk they're taking. But your customers, the ones you want, they're not all about price. They care about all these other things. And most customers care more about trust than they do about price. Because if some guy's got a really low price, but they don't trust him, then they can't trust the price either. They think he's cutting corners or something's off with that price. They don't want to do that. They're nervous. They're scared. They don't want to go with that low price. They've heard all the horror stories about this industry. So trust is so, so important. The next thing is discrediting the lower price. So the best way that you can discredit a low price is by discrediting the person. And the best way to discredit a person is a couple ways. One is if you're more detailed than the next guy. So Joe Schmo comes out and does an estimate and he spends 10 minutes and writes a number on the back of a business card. Or maybe he does a whole contract, whatever. But the point is he doesn't spend much time. And if you go in there and you're on the north side of the house and you get down on your hands and knees and you look up under the underside of the boards and you see that the underside of the siding boards is peeling and flaking off and the siding is starting to collect water and starting to expand and fray, If you find that problem on the house and Joe Schmo did not find that problem on the house, they no longer trust Joe with their home because he didn't even catch this problem that could lead to having to replace siding, which is tremendously expensive. So if you're more detailed and you find problems on the house that the next guy didn't find, you win. You win the bid right there. So that's one way to discredit people. Second way to discredit people is in sales, people lie, or people will bend the truth, or people will make recommendations to a customer that probably isn't the best thing for the customer. It's the best thing for the contractor. Like they're like selling the customer 2 coats of paint when the customer doesn't need 2 coats of paint. So the second best way to discredit other people is to be the most trustworthy person that you can be. And so an example of this is, I have 2 quick examples. It's just to show you that trust trumps everything, and this is how you can earn people's trust. Number one is, well, before I even say it, take care of the customer, put them first, treat them like you would want your mother to be treated if someone was giving your mother an estimate. You're going to be honest with people. You're not going to manipulate people. You're not going to recommend things they don't need. You're going to genuinely put their needs and their wants first. So one example was I was getting my closet redone, and I needed to get the shelves taken out and the floorboards taken out because we were getting new closets installed in there. And the guy showed up, and I told him everything I needed, and he said, you know, man, I don't think we need to take out these floorboards. I think that, I think you're going to be just fine. Like, here. And he did some extra work, and we brought a dresser in, and we're like, wow, yeah, I don't need to take out the floorboards. He went out of his way to talk himself out of extra work. The moment he did that, I knew I could trust him because he's not trying to pull a fast one on me. He's just trying to give me what I need and want, and he's generally putting my needs and wants first, and he's not just trying to squeeze me for everything I got. That's the first example. Second example was my business partner, Ben, was at an estimate. This is a great story we tell. This didn't happen one time. This has happened a bunch of times. So he goes into the estimate, walks in with the contract, runs the customer through it, and say, yeah, so our price basically $3,500. And the customer says, okay, well, I really like it, and I really like you guys, but this other company, so-and-so, their price is $2,600, and it looks like they said they're going to do all the same stuff as you guys. And so Ben said, he goes, oh, well, can I see the contract? And he set them side by side, and he goes through them, and he's like, yeah, I mean, it looks like they're doing all the same stuff. So, what I would tell you guys, like my recommendation would be, if you're just as comfortable with those guys as you are with me and our company, I would probably recommend saving the $1,000 and going with them. And they go, okay, we'll go with you. Because that builds so much trust. And look, I'm not telling you to go out there and tell customers to go with other people. The point is to go out there and put your customers first. Take care of them. Be detailed. Be thorough. Look at every little thing. Do an amazing job for them. Make the right recommendations. Tell them what they should do. Tell them what they shouldn't do. If you're more detailed, you're more thorough, and you put the customer first more than anybody else does, you will win. All right? And the degree that you're willing to go to that is the degree that you're going to earn trust, and it's a much more natural way to sell too. Instead of Jasmine's laughing. Instead of going in there and trying to manipulate and trying to sell, just take care of people. Just take care of people. It's a more natural way for you to do things. It totally works. It's what's most effective. And that's how you're going to beat the low bidders. People will go with you all day long if that's how you're doing estimates rather than the guy that just threw a low price. All right, so that's how you beat low bidders. You do it by doing the right thing, by being better, by being more professional, and by putting the customer first. All right, so there's no magic to this. And guess what? You're still going to lose to people with lower prices sometimes, and that's okay. All right, so make sure you're doing the things right, track your stats, and just always work on improving. So I hope this video has been good. We'll see you in the next one.